Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Peter Towers, Managing Director of ESS BIZTOOLS. Welcome to Business Advisory Services Starter Package will help you implement. And I really hope that it will. If you have any questions during this presentation today, can you please type your question into chat and I will answer your question to the best of my ability during the webinar. If you're one of those large number of people who seem to watch our videos at a time more convenient to you, that's great. But obviously it's too late to type in the chat by then. Can you send me an email with any of your questions, peter@essbiztools.com.au, and I will get back to you and give you a reply. So let's get started. Why business advisory services? Why is it so important? Why are we conducting all of these programs within ESS BIZTOOLS? Well, it's been talked about for years. I've been around a fair number of years, and this whole concept of business advisory services really started 40 years ago at the University of New England in Armidale, led by Dr. Jeff Meredith, now a professor, I understand, at the Southern Cross University at Lismore. But Meredith started with people like Andrew Geddes and Sam Beasley and Ian Brown, and they really promoted through the Financial Management Research Centre the concept that accountants should be able to do more work for their clients than just taxation type services. And here we are, nearly 40 years later, still talking about this same subject. But I think it's becoming more and more obvious that with the technology developments and the communications that we now have with telephones, etc., that accountants can do more work. And the SME market is looking for more services. The latest emphasis on business advisory service has been driven by the Commonwealth Bank's Accounting Market Pulse report, which was released early in May. The firms that they described as leading firms from their survey responses to their 5 initial key questions, they have indicated that 100% of those firms are going to be diversifying their services in the next 12 to 18 months, 100%. And the firms that they described as lagging firms, so they weren't quite as up to date or fast with their implementation as to what the leading firms were, 95% of them, all but 5%, identified that they were going to be diversifying services. And when we looked at what was going to be the biggest diversified service, it was business advisory service. The language they used was the new service line entry and growth area. The highest one was business advisory services. It got strong support. 81% of the leading firms said that they would be implementing business advisory services in the next 12 to 18 months. And 67% of the firms that the CommBank was describing as lagging firms had indicated that business advisory services was top of the charts for them. I think that's an outstanding result, really. So the business advisory services starter package will assist in delivering a range of services that you can start with. I know this is a daunting subject. I've been undertaking this sort of work for a long time, and probably find it fairly simple these days. We still run a consulting firm. I've just finished a major business plan for a construction company, doing its second succession strategy. So the first one was undertaken about 15, 16 years ago, and we're now doing the second one. This is a 51-year-old company. Are you undertaking that sort of work for your clients? It's quite interesting. and it's quite lucrative for accountancy firms. So the starter package has been prepared to assist accountants, obviously, business advisors and bookkeepers, because we're getting more and more bookkeepers who are wanting to diversify into these sorts of areas. So it enables you to get started on the implementation of a major diversification strategy, because I don't believe, in all honesty, that accountants can stand still in this new financial year, 21-22, which starts in a few days' time. You need to be developing your strategies and then implementing them. And we can help you to implement. I think it's time for business advisory services. I honestly do. I've been around this subject being discussed for many years, and I think it is now for firms to really adapt to it, or probably forget about it, and then take the commercial risk in the marketplace, because other firms are going to grab it, and they'll be out there marketing for clients and getting clients, because they will be seeing that some accountants just want to remain doing tax, and there's probably nothing wrong with that as long as you're happy with that. And a lot of your competitors are going to be outsourcing work, and I think there's going to be real price competitive problems in that marketplace. And I also suspect that firms that wish to stay in that space are probably going to have problems with recruiting good staff, because the staff are looking for a variety of work, interesting work. I'm sure we all agree tax can become a little bit boring at times. I know that's the way I felt some days when I was running an accounting firm. So let's have a look at what's in the ESS BIZTOOLS Business Advisory Services Starter Package that we've developed to give you some products so you can get started, you can start communicating to your clients, and then you can decide if you need other products and services introduced, because we've got a whole range of them. But this is your starter package so that you can get started. First of all, the initial training is vital. We've developed 13 modules, which we've been utilizing with our clients for the last 5 or 6 years, and we think it's important that this is where you start. Introduction to business advisory services, getting organized, going through where this is different from running a tax practice. And there are differences, because you are becoming, in effect, the virtual chief financial officer or the virtual accountant for your clients. How you go about offering business advisory services. Many of your clients will not have imagined that your firm is able to offer a broader range of services. There needs to be communication, and that's when we'll talk about it. And your team needs to be trained for excellent delivery. If you think that the partners are going to be able to handle all aspects of business advisory services, please forget that. You will need your trained team to work in this area exactly like they do in the taxation area. The partner should do the overview and spec the job, talk to the client, assure the client that the team's been trained so that they can work to the work programs to deliver the responses that the client requires. So the team training is very important, because we're going to encourage you to develop champions. Who is your debtors management champion? Who is your tradie charge out rate champion? Who is your retail industry champion that can talk to your retail clients about their products, their product mixes, and their various markup percentages, and try to decipher out of all that information what is the ideal product mix and markups, taking into account the business overhead costs to achieve a targeted profit. Now, in all seriousness, if you work for a major retail organization that was big enough to be able to afford a full-time CFO or accountant, you would be doing some of this work each day. I worked as a chief financial officer and company secretary of a listed public company. And I had a costing team work for me who were calculating costing exercises all day, every day on various management were wanting to know if we changed this, if we did this. That's the sort of role that clients are looking for when they're running businesses that can't afford to employ a full-time chief financial officer or an accountant. And we see as part of this is some of your team members becoming champions in some of these products, but not forever. They can train other people and move on to other areas as you expand this range of services. Leadership strategy, I've talked about the champion development, I got in front of myself. Marketing strategies, you do need to market. Or change the word market and call it communications, because you need to be able to tell your clients and your prospects what you are now doing. For many of you, your clients have got used to your firm just producing annual accounts and tax returns. Important work, but that's all they're used to you doing. Now, I know you've all been to university, you've all done your CPA or your Institute's PY year, and you've learned a lot of other things besides how to prepare annual accounts and tax returns. This is your opportunity to implement that knowledge, to offer some broader services to your clients, but you need to tell them. Within ESS BizTools, we've got a range of tools and products and templates that we think will help you communicate that information to your clients. They just don't expect you to be able to do it. Some of them have probably given up. You need to now open that line of communications with them. And you need to decide which products you're going to offer to them. And within the starter package, we think you could offer most of those package products. That's why we've selected them. In our total package, our gold package, there's 25 product packages, and some people find that's a bit daunting to start with, and it probably is. So we've produced this starter package to get you underway. One of the key documents is the SME needs analysis. This is a document which you could hand to your clients and ask them to complete, or you could sit down and have a cup of coffee with a client and get their feedback. Are they worried about their debtors level? What's their debtors days outstanding? Many of them will not know because they don't know how to calculate it. No one's ever showed it to them. Unfortunately, in lots of cases, it's not part of the jargon, the KPIs that us as professional accountants are talking to our clients about. Another question might be, do they need more funding in their business? Where could they get funding? If they're talking about borrowing, have they got spare assets that they can offer to the bank as security? Or could they be a possibility of trying to raise capital direct from the public as a crowdsourced funding equity raising company? Now, for years, when I was running an accountancy firm and we're helping clients to raise money, we had to use Section 708 of the Corporations Act. It's still there, it's still very viable. But you can only raise $2 million. You can only have 20 additional shareholders. You've got to be very conscious of that the maximum number of shareholders in a private company is 50. And you cannot advertise or promote that you're trying to raise money under Section 708. Admittedly, you don't have to produce a prospectus, but I think it's prudent and in fact common courtesy that the company has produced a business plan and budgets and cash flow forecasts and predicted balance sheets. In other words, predictive accounting reports, looking at the next 3 to 5 years. So that's part of the challenge that you could also be looking at doing for your clients. helping them to be able to raise capital. So you've got to select the products you're going to offer. Our suggestion when you work through our material is that you have a seminar to launch yourself into business advisory services, and that you invite selected clients to attend. The A-class clients that you're really trying to work on, bring them in, have a drink or a glass of wine or a cup of coffee at the end, and communicate with them so that they can know what to expect. You have demonstrated to them that you understand this. And have your product champions stand up and make presentations. Don't make this only a partner-only presentation. Partner should be the chair of it and should be there, of course. But let your younger team members, who, especially the ones who are emerging or are already product champions, stand up and deliver. And we have material within the kit to assist in that presentation. We've already written it out, but don't stand and read it. Try to memorize it. And we've got some hints on selling business advisory services that have been put together from people that are far better salesmen than me. And then we have the implementation. Now, a lot of accountancy firms rely on the tax returns to generate the repeat business year in, year out. You'll find consultancy services is a little bit different. You have to go out and find people. You go to functions, you follow up old clients, you work with firms that don't want to do any of this sort of work, who are happy to refer people to you, but you've got to do some marketing, prepare Zoom webinars like we're doing today, have a active role in social media, put the posts up, demonstrate that you're interested in certain areas, and people will come to you to have a conversation. Then you need to put a proposal to them. You have to implement. And when you give a proposal to someone, please follow up. Don't just send it, and if they haven't replied to you within 2 or 3 days, say, oh, that's no good. Ring them up. Sometimes you'll find they never received it because something went wrong in the internet. Or other times they've got a question, they put it aside, but it got covered with other work and they forgot about it. They're busy people. So you need to follow them up. Because I think the way you need to look at this is you want to become part of their team. They haven't got a person sitting in the chief financial officer seat. They might have a marketing manager. They might have a sales manager. They've probably got a sales manager, and they've probably got a production manager or whatever their configuration is. But most of the clients that I'm referring to probably have not got a chief financial officer. They might have a clerical type person. That's the seat you need to occupy as a firm. The partner, obviously, or the senior manager would be taking that day-to-day role. That's the challenge. And then you're part of their team. That's the role I had in a listed public company. And I was only very young in those days. And I sat there with 11 other senior executives in that company. We were one of Australia's major meat export companies. So we had marketing, we had byproduct sales, we had meat sales, we had retail operations, we had livestock procurement. These were the senior leadership teams, quality control, obviously, meatwork supervision. And my role was to make sure that my team was able to answer all of the financial costing, corporate governance type issues. And they come into the thick and fast all day. That's what we're hoping you're going to be able to do. And then you're going to have one-on-one meetings with your clients. So you've talked to them about the implementation, and part of that's talking to them and getting them to sign on. The ESS BIZTOOLS papers that you receive as part of this, there's 343 in total. We've got about 580 in our system. As a starter package, you're getting 343 of these packages. Nice round figure, isn't it? That's how it worked out. And they're over about 60 different subject headings, so that you can brand those papers and hand them to clients to better educate them on the type of services you're now able to supply to them. I'm just checking no one's got any questions. If you've got any questions, please make an entry in the chat. Thank you. I think it's a great way to convince clients by sending them papers, but pick up the phone and communicate with them. And if you're doing a mail out and you've got one of our papers is talking about retailers, we'll only send it to the retailers. Try to target who the audience is going to, so that you've got a smaller number of people that you can then follow up, because you're looking for some feedback. You're looking for, will you come and talk to me about this, because I think I need some work, more work done by you. When I first started doing this sort of consulting work, I was the senior partner in an accounting firm, and I had a firm policy that I always went to the client's premises. Some of my largest clients only turned up in my office on the day I retired out of running an accounting firm. And some of them have been clients for over 20 years at that stage. They'd never been in my office. They knew where we were, but they'd never been there, because I visited them. Why? Because I got a lot of work. I got a lot of consulting work, because I could sit in their premises and see what the problems were, and also hear the environment in which they had to work. I found it great training for young accountants who used to complain about the way a receptionist spoke to them in a steel fabrication business. I said, come with me, come on, come with me. We'll go out there and we'll listen to the jackhammers going. We'll listen to the noise. And in those days, it was a two-way radio the lady was trying to work. The phone's ringing and she's got some accountant on the phone talking to her about some obscure journal entry that she's got no idea. And the young people wonder why those people get a bit upset at times. Go to the factories, go to the shops, go to the workshops, go to the farms, understand, take that time. You will become part of the team and you will get the work, but you won't get the work sitting in your office, and you won't get the work if you don't communicate with your clients as to what you can now do for them, and tell them you've put your team through some training and yourself. You've refamiliarized yourself. I don't think any of this is brand new to you, but you need to refamiliarize yourself. Some of you might not have looked at some of these subjects for 20 or 30 years. We have in the system client seminars, webinars, pre-prepared, ready for you to use. Now, this subscription package, you get 12. There's about 36 in total in the system. So this will help you with staff training, and you could put some of these onto your website. So the best way to get a clear understanding of a subject matter too, I think, is to present a seminar. We all think we know things, but the real challenge is standing up in front of a group of people. It's nearly as bad as doing what we're now doing, sitting in front and I can't see you. But it's been recorded. We also have client mentoring and coaching modules. We've prepared 4 modules for you here. Now, these are resources you can send to your clients, which will take them through various aspects of what they're doing in their work. Some of them have got 6 mail outs. So over a period of time, every week or every fortnight, you could send 6 presentations to them. Why? It's to educate the client in some of these subject matters, because at the end of the day, we're going to be asking the client, or you're going to be asking the client, to pay you an extra $5, $6, $10, $20,000 in the year, because you're going to be supplying these services. Now, I'll be honest, some accountants say to me, oh, we show it to the client, they'll do it themselves. I say, I don't think so. And in fact, I've never found it to happen. And I've been doing consulting work for 30 years. Never found that a client said, oh, I'll do that myself, Peter. Thank you very much. Why? They're too busy. And they've got other interests. They don't want to be accountants or company secretaries. They want to be whatever their key interest is, salesman type people or producers of things or visionaries. They don't want to be locked down doing this work that we do. But you need to show them what you can do, what it's all about. Because if we're going to say to them, I'll prepare this business plan for you and it's going to cost $24,000, you need to give them an overview of what the benefit's going to be for them and their team. If we're going to undertake a review of their charge out rates that a tradies using, I think you need to explain how you're going to do it and then what you can do during the year then to measure that it's all working. In other words, you do the financial accounts and you compare it. Because a tradies charge out is based on assumed productivity figures. It's based on assumed working hours. So it's based on an assumed markup on external purchases coming in, and obviously an assumed set of overhead costs. There's a lot of movable parts in all that. And at the end of the day, are they going to be able to achieve their targeted profit? It's a bit late talking about it in September, October, after the year's finished. That's all gone. It's too late, gone forever. So you need to educate your services. Business Plus newsletter. We produce this each month. It's a marketing resource for your firm. That's what our subscribers view it as. It's a marketing resources. We produce 4 A4 pages normally, sometimes 1 or 2 pages more, depending on what the issues are. Our end of year tax report, which went out for the 30th of June, distributed last week. That was 12 pages, but that's abnormal. So it's a marketing resource for your firm. It's going to your clients and prospects. But hopefully it's giving worthwhile information to your clients about business matters. That's how I write it. And I try to vary it. We have an article for startups. We have an article for people that might be doing research, creating things. We have articles looking at how people are going to get their funding for their business. Or do they need to raise capital from the public, and how does all that work? So it's produced monthly. You badge it and send it to your clients and prospects. Another big area in this product package is debtors management. You know, Australia a few years ago was classified as having the longest debtors days outstanding in the world. I think that's a national disgrace. And as one of the key professional groups that are helping businesses to run their affairs, I think some of that disgrace comes back on the accountancy profession. Why have we allowed this to happen? Now, there's been a fair bit of pressure put on by a couple of organisations, and the federal government has now issued instructions to their departments there to make payments within 30 days, some cases less. But one of the real problems is not enough of the business clients understand, first of all, what their debtors days outstanding is, or that there is a need to check the client applications out in the first place. They're not getting someone else's problems, are they? So the debtors management system will help you do this. And you can charge, obviously, for these services. Survival in difficult times. Now, I must admit, I first wrote this product package about 6 or 7 years ago in response to cyclones and the problems that they caused to a whole range of businesses. But ever since, we've kept on updating it every year or so, because there's always difficulty somewhere in Australia. If it's not cyclones, it's storms and floods and bushfires. And obviously in the last 15 months, we've had COVID-19. So it's a product which will help you evaluate a client's business. And around Australia, there's thousands of businesses that are still in very difficult times. This gives you some tools to help them. There's 38 questionnaires on a very wide variety of subjects. Their cash flow position, their debtors position, their inventory position, their team positions, and go through them. And there's calculators there to help them calculate debtors days outstanding and calculate their cash flow movement for the next 3 or 4 weeks, and a whole range of information. And it's linked back to information articles, some of those 343 papers and other information, so that there's a learning curve in it for the client. My experience is, if we as accountants supply this type of service to our clients, we get more work from that client who says, gee, that's a niche specialist area. We'll get our accountants to continue to do that work. You give them a proposal. And what it does is creates great new activity within your accounting firm, because your team are getting some real live interesting work to undertake. Tradies charge out rate calculator. I jumped ahead and I talked about it. I had a young lady rang me and about our starter package last week and said to me, well, what's in it? And I got the Tradies charge out rate calculator. And she says, what's that do? And I explained it to her. She said, gee, do I get that? I said, yep, if you subscribe. Because she said someone was on Facebook that morning on a group that she's in, and the question was, can anyone help me set charge out rates for tradies? She said, I'm going to go and contact her straight away and tell her I'm going to get the package and I'll be able to do it in a couple of days' time. One of our long-term subscribers was asked by our marketing consultant a couple of months ago, what was the best product in ESS BIZTOOLS? He nominated this one. He uses it with over 100 subcontractors every year to reset their charge out rates. And then what he's done is carried it forward into the business advisory meetings that we're recommending every month, in some cases quarterly, because they've prepared actual accounts and they then do a comparison as to how they've performed as against the original targets in these charge out rate calculators. And they charge those clients $2,000 to $3,000 extra over and above the fee that they were paying for their annual accounts and tax returns. And he tells me recently a number of them are now talking to him about succession planning. So they're progressing. And a couple of them are really starting to gear up their business organizations. They want to scale up. They want to grow up. They want to grow up. They want to acquire some other competitor businesses. It's a great way to get in on a real business attitude with your clients, instead of being this once a year visit to do a tax return. He's talking to some of them at least 12 times a year. And because he's also got a great interest in innovations, the accountant, he's really using our package now on research and development and early stage innovation company, because he's got some of these tradies who are forming other companies to be able to commercialize some inventions they've got and then raise capital. My comment there is a lot of tradies guess their figure. They really do that. Or they stand in the corner of a pub and try to work out what their competitors are charging. That's no way to do it. That's no way for you to be having involvement with your clients if they're doing it that way. Get them to change. Let's move to retail pricing. This is a real challenge. Have you ever sat down with a retail client and tried to understand how their business operates? They've got all these product mixes. Now think back to some of what you've learnt or It's in here, says BIZTOOL, about how you classify products. You've got the stars, the high volume areas with the high markups. That's what every business dreams of having to sell. But unfortunately, we also have cash cows. They're also high volume, but low markups. You can't run a business on cash cows only, because you won't make enough money in most cases to pay your overheads. Then we got problem lines. Now, problem lines in lots of areas are last year's fashion, especially in ladies type goods. Everyone wore yellow last year. This year it's red. And no matter how high a quality that coat was or that dress is, if it's in yellow, it's probably not going to sell. So what do you tell your clients that they should do with that? And then we got the real disasters. They shouldn't have been there in the first place. They might be small volume and they're also small markups, but they're eating up space, which is costing money. Now, whilst interest rates are a lot lower than what they have been in the past, it still costs an interest. So they're all in your product mix. And then there's all different markups for all those things. What's the ideal combination to cover the overheads and make a targeted profit? We've got a product package which assists you to do that. And these product packages on professional services, on tradies and on retail were based on work that one of the real founders of this whole concept of business advisory services, Andrew Geddes, developed many years ago at the FMRC at Armidale at the University of New England. And with his permission, we've reproduced it, added to it. We also have a professional charge out rate calculator. Quite a number of our subscribers now use this product for their own practices, determination of charge out rates, similar to the tradies and manufacturers. Normally, there's not markups on external purchases. The SME's Debtors Systems Manual. Have you ever gone into your client's office? This is one of the challenges of going into their offices and walking over to I always call them the poor person who's got to worry about debtors. Their computer normally is covered with bits of stickers and handwritten notes. Sometimes they're printed. They're hand-me-down notes from whoever was the person that had to look after debtors management previously. There's no real system. No wonder debtors days outstanding is blowing through the roof. So we've developed a template, it's about 40 pages, which allows you to do your initial review on debtors. Then you can sit down and say to the client, we'll now produce you a manual, which will explain how all this works, so that the person doing the job has got far more knowledge of how it fits together. You can put your name on it and the client's name, and it creates a written system. It's a great tool. It explains in fairly simple language what the Personal Property Securities Register is all about. Because invariably the debtors person is the person that's lumped with making some fairly crucial decisions on a new customer. Are you going to register them on the PPSR or not? Now, when I talk to people about this, I get some funny looks. What's it mean to us? Well, it could mean if you haven't talked to your client about this, they could literally go broke because they've got assets left with someone else who gets into some sort of insolvency problem. And next thing there's a liquidator. And next thing the liquidator is seizing those assets. 400 odd million's been lost in Australia through people being ignorant of this legislation. Most of that was SMEs, but the biggest single loss was $62 million lost by a subsidiary of one of the world's top 100 business groups. So if they can lose 62 million because they never realized they had to register an asset to protect it, what about your clients? There's been millions of dollars lost by tradie type businesses because they left their tractor, their bulldozer, their front end loader or whatever, or their work sheds on a building site and a liquidator got appointed. So think about it. So that all flows out of a debtors system. We've got business health checks. This stage, we've got 5 key industries: pharmacies, commercial builders, truck carriers, and a couple of others. And we're going to add to it. But it goes into more depth than a benchmarking comparison, because it allows you to be comparing month by month. Where are the customers coming from? Which postcodes? Which marketing campaigns work the best? The flyers, the discounts, the promotions through the local Boy Scouts or whatever. What's the average sale? How does it vary from last time? What social media posted the market respond to? All that type of feedback. You'll never get that out of a benchmarking comparison, no matter how good benchmarking.com's information is. So we've developed that business health check to help you to be able to do more than in-depth benchmarking. And then our big new product, which we're launching in 2 weeks' time. And the first presentation on this is on the 7th of July for firms that are not currently subscribing to ESS BIZTOOLS. We're calling it the Business Advisory Services Implementation Training. This is free, which we're offering to the accounting profession in Australia, excuse me. We're going to work you through these products that we've talked about in this presentation today. We're going to show you where they are within the ESS system. We're going to show you the marketing communication tools that come with them. And we're going to present these in webinars. They're all going to be at 12 noon AEST. And I'm going to show you the dates now. And we'll be sending this out in our Accountant's Minute this week. But getting ready to deliver is on this Wednesday, the 7th of July. That's the first one. And then on Debtors Management, Tradies charge out rate calculator, client mentoring and coaching. And we're going to feature there the purchasing or commencing a business. So you will show you the material that's in the system. And remember, there's 12 of these. We're just going to feature one. Then we're going to go through the survival in difficult times, show you those 38 questionnaires, show you the articles that they're linked to, and ask you to visualize how you could use that to add value to your clients. The SME Debtors Systems Manual. We're going to show you the completed manual. And the comment section on the right-hand side, so that the person who's got the responsibility can prepare some decent notes as to what's got to be done. And we'd be suggesting, of course, that you say to the client, you're going to come back every year for a review, and every time the person in that job changes, because it's that important that that system is being worked properly. And we'll have a look at client seminars and webinars, and we're going to take you through characteristics of a well-run business webinar or seminar, so you can see how that works. And again, I'll be challenging you to say, are you going to be able to use this material with your clients? Because that's what you've got to be looking at doing. That's what business advisory services is all about. The retail pricing calculator, which is really aligning the product mixes and the markups to earn a target of profit. And this involves monthly financial accounts being prepared, because you've got to be able, as you would if you were in a corporation, to say to senior management, hang on, this is not working. We've done the P&L accounts for the end of July, and the strategy we put in place didn't work, because they're buying a lot more of the cash cows than what we thought they would. And that's not generating enough money to pay the overheads. So it's back to the drawing board. Sit down with the client. They're the retail experts, not you, but you can then put the revised figures into the spreadsheets which we've developed. That's really helping your clients to manage their business. And again, at the end of August, you do the same thing. Here's the result. Bingo, it worked. That's why all this is so important. Business health checks, and we're going to show you the pharmacies and supermarkets. I forgot supermarkets before. Don't know how. It was a massive job. I did some great work with few of the IGA stores to understand what they're doing. 40, 45 departments. The information they get out is great. It then needs to be managed. There's a lot of information floating around in a lot of our clients. What they need is the accounting concepts, the accounting knowledge, the accounting champions to interpret that and advise them what it really means. That's the challenge of delivering business advisory services. So to register for these webinars, and you can do it from tomorrow. I've just got a message just before we started this webinar that it's not all quite set yet, but it will be tomorrow. So please go on tomorrow onto our website, www.essbiztools.com.au. Scroll down to upcoming webinars and you'll see all these webinars listed. Click on to the lot of them if you wish. Now, you also get one-on-one training. Each of our subscribers get 2 one-hour sessions or 4 30-minute sessions, if you like, where we will work through. I like making sure we do one training session, though, while you're doing those 13 training modules. It's very important that you do those training modules with your team, whoever is going to be involved in business advisory service. And if that's everyone in your firm, that's great. We also do group training every month. We have a members webinar. So for each of those webinars I just showed you, the week before, we got separate webinars on the same subjects for our current subscribers, because we're talking to them all the time. And that's the service we'll be offering to you if you agree to join us as a member by paying your subscription. And we have a business advisory services briefing every month, about 30 minutes. It's a bit of a discussion. I have an agenda, but I hope they'll not use it. I want to get feedback from our members. What's working? What's not working? How did the Business Plus newsletter go? Did you follow up? Did you get some people who were interested in talking to you about, or was it all flat? There was no one interested. We need that feedback. And what's someone in Adelaide doing with some of our products? So does that also apply to someone in Melbourne or someone in Darwin or Perth that might be able to do something else? So there's a bit of a exchange of information can go on there. You don't have to name who you are. I just like you to be able to say which location you're in, and you can be as broad as Melbourne or Sydney or Brisbane, if that's what suits you. We also produce Members Alert. I'm writing it tomorrow, which is a monthly newsletter we send straight out after our Business Plus newsletter, which is an update of a whole range of things for our members, giving you advance notice. There is a money back guarantee. I'll be very disappointed. I've never had to pay back a money back guarantee in over 20 years of producing ESS BIZTOOLS. But if you're not satisfied, we will give you your money back. Now, this is our big promotion. This is what we're excited about. We really want to encourage Australian accountants to be very proactive in implementing what CommBank Accounting Market Pulse report is saying, to give you the opportunity to buy into business advisory services. We got a 50% discount. $999 gives you everything we've discussed in this webinar today for 12 months. And that includes GST. That subscription offer is available to the 30th of July. Then we're going back to our normal pricing, which is $2,000 odd upfront discount. Or you can pay monthly, but that fee has not reduced. So it's $197 including GST per month for 12 months. You can go to our website if you wish to subscribe now, and just go to essbiztools.com.au and click on subscribe to Business Advisory Services Starter Package. And that's how it appears on the home page. That's why we've reproduced it in that manner. If you want more information, please contact me. Visit our website. The details are all there. Now I'm going to see if I've got any questions because I haven't been noticing any. I haven't got any. I hope that means that I've fully satisfied your questions. But if you think of some questions later on that you would like to send to me, please send me an email and I will get back to you with an answer on that question. So just refreshing, more information, you can go to our website, www.essbiztools.com.au, or send me an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au, or give me a phone call if you wish, 1-800-232-088. So goodbye, everyone, and thanks for being with us. We have recorded this webinar, and for those of you who are registered, we will be sending that recording to you in the next couple of days. And I look forward to you joining us for this series of webinars. And obviously, if you're inclined to join us as a subscriber, that would be great. Have a great day. Goodbye.